Hi. So our topic for today is integers and absolute value. Our goal for today is to simplify expressions using absolute value. So there are two things here that I want you to go ahead and make sure that you have down, which is the first one is integer, and an integer is all whole numbers and its opposites. And the second vocabulary term that I'd like you to know is opposites, numbers that are the same distance from zero but on opposite sides. So go ahead and write that down. Alright, let's move on. Alright, notice that very much on the top you have a number line. Go ahead and write that down. It does give you an idea and helps you out. So we're going to go ahead and do the first thing that we're going to look at first, which is to compare. And we're going to use a less than, greater than, or equal sign. So the easiest way to do this is, of course, having that number line up there so that way you can kind of know what you're looking at. Here's the thing. Numbers increase in value as you move to the right. So 1 is bigger than 0. So as you keep moving on further this way, whatever number is this way is bigger than any number this way. So 0 is bigger than -1. True. So let's go ahead and compare 2 and 4. So here we have 2, and here we have 4. The 4 is further to the right of 2. So all you have to do here is use one of our symbols, less than. This would mean that 2 is less than 4. That's true. Now let's look at the next one. Here's our 2. Here's our -4, which is right here. And if you look at it, 2 is way further to the right than 4. Oh, -4, which would make it that the 2 is bigger in value than -4, because it is further to the right on that number line. Alright, let's look at another example. Write integers from least to greatest. So what we can do here is, again, use our number line. And since we have 4 numbers to worry about, let's go ahead and mark them off. So here we have a 4. Here we have -5, -3, and 0. Alright, let's just go down the line since we're going from least to greatest. So we start left to right, and let's write down the new numbers from least to greatest order. So let's start off with -5. Our next number over, -3. Our next number over, 0. Our next number, 4. Now you don't have to draw that number line every single time. If you just draw it one time and just put markings, maybe in different colors, you can use that as well. Alright. And our final example that we're going to talk about is absolute values. Now, an absolute value basically means it's how far away that number is from 0. So if you notice, distance, you can't really have negative distance. So absolute values are always going to be positive. Always. So this concept, very simple. -3 is 3 away from 0. So the absolute value of -3 is 3. And again, you'll always know that when they're talking about absolute values, you see these 2 bars, 2 long bars. Same thing here. The absolute value of 3, it's 3 units away from 0, so this is also 3. So notice, no matter if it's -3 or 3 in the absolute value, it's still going to be a positive number, because we're only talking about how far away it is from 0. Now, what happens if you have an expression inside of a absolute value? Then all you're going to do first is you're going to do 3 plus 4. That's 7. Remember, it is still absolute value, but it doesn't matter anyway because it is still going to be 7 away from 0. Now let's take a look at this one. Now I know this one is 3 plus 4, and that gave you 7 in absolute value, but let's do 3 minus 4. 3 minus 4, and again, if you recall in our integers lesson, we would change this into a plus and change this into the opposite, which currently right now is a 4, that makes it a -4. So now we can use our addition rules of if they're different, you subtract them. So 4 minus 3 is equal to 1. And then you take the sign of the larger value in numbers, which is a 4. So this is a -1. So this is absolute value of -1. And just like we said before, absolute value of -1 basically just means how far away is it from 0? So this is still just equal to 1. Alright, what if you have a much larger question? Well, if you just go one at a time, you'll still get the same answer. So here we have -2 plus -1, and again, addition rules. Negative plus negative is going to give you a -3, because if you have two negatives, you're just adding on the numbers and then keeping the sign. Here we have 1 minus 2. We're going to change this to a plus, change that to a negative. This now becomes -1 because you subtracted 2 minus 1. And then you're going to take the sign of the larger value, -1. And then let's go ahead and solve the rest. -3 absolute value becomes 3 plus absolute value of -1 becomes 1, so the answer is 4. Alright, that's about it.